Hello folks, this week saw the patch 11.20 PTR go to a release candidate, which essentially means that there's unlikely to be any more major new changes beyond class and encounter tuning before it goes live. So this week I want to do a quickfire run through of the main rewards that you can expect from Season 3. Between Season 2 and Season 3 we're going to see a 45 item level increase. This is a bigger jump than we've seen in previous seasons, which only had a 39 item level jump. Most likely, this is due to the Turbo Boost feature, which added 2 extra upgrade levels to the hero and myth track gear. Explorer track gear, which is basically green drops from open world content, starts at item level 642 and goes up to 665 in 8 steps. Adventurer gear from world quests and some events and lower level delves runs from 655 up to 678. This will likely also be the most plentiful form of warband catch-up gear, at least early on in the season. And Veteran Track, which is the main open world reward from the various weekly chests, LFR and level 5 and 6 delves, is item level 668 through to 691. Moving on to the main seasonal gear tiers, and champion tier gear is item level 681 through to 704. All of these tracks so far have 8 upgrade steps. Hero and myth tracks are going back down to having just 6 upgrade steps, the same as what we saw at the start of Season 2. Hero track is going to be going from item level 694 through to 710, and myth track goes from item level 707 through to 723. For crafty gear, rank 5 enchanted weathered crests will be given item level 675, Season 3 sparks on their own, 691, enchanted runed crests, 704, and enchanted gilded crests, item level 720. Mythic dungeon and delve drops follow much the same pattern as in Season 2, with Mythic 0 dropping champion track gear from both the bosses and the vault, along with carved crests. Champion gear also drops from the end of dungeon chests up to Mythic plus 5, with the hero track gear kicking in at Mythic plus 6, and the Mythic plus vault gives you hero track gear all the way up to plus 9, with plus 10 and above dropping the all-important myth track. Crest-wise, the rune crests drop all the way up to plus 6, with gilded crests kicking in from plus 7 and higher. As with Season 2, the number of crests increases with higher levels, and there's a 4 crest penalty if you don't time the dungeon. For delves, bountiful delves will be dropping adventurer track gear up to level 4, veteran track gear in levels 5 and 6, and champion track gear from level 7, with the Delver's Bounty map offering veteran track gear at level 4, champion from 5 through to 7, and hero track from 7 and above. Weathered crests will be dropping up to level 5, carved starting at level 4, and runed from level 6 and above. For gilded crests, level 11 can drop 7 gilded crests up to 3 times a week, and you can also get your extra 10 gilded crests from the Delver's Bounty map at level 8 and above. New for this season, Delves are also going to be getting a trinket vendor, allowing us to buy champion tier Delve trinkets for 2,000 undercoin. This vendor will unlock from the 3rd step of the Delver's journey and will cause a brand new vendor called Zaran to appear at the end of Tier 9 Delves and above. The vendor does unfortunately have a daily rotation, with different trinkets showing up in different days. The entire cycle has 5 steps in total, with each trinket showing up twice within the rotation. In that 5 days, no more than 3 days will elapse between each appearance of each trinket. While 3 days isn't really a big wait, because you cannot preview the vendor without going in and do a delve, it does mean that if you're not running delves every day, targeting your chosen trinket is going to be very awkward indeed. I could understand the developers wanting to have a little bit of friction on a deterministic vendor that was outside in the open world, but given that we have to do a tier 9 delve just to access the vendor, there's already plenty of friction built in. And doing an extra delve just to find out that it's on the wrong day, I don't think is really going to be a very good player experience. I'm sure the community will eventually come up with an external tracker for this, but that just serves to reinforce the idea that World of Warcraft is a game that needs external resources just to play the game, and I really do hope that the developers think again about this approach. There's currently no word from Blizzard if we can expect to see a Turbo Boost style event in Season 3, but given its success in Season 2, I'd be really very surprised if we didn't, albeit likely I think we will get a few adjustments. One noticeable change to rewards in Season 3 is that Mythic Zero dungeons are going to be available in week 1 of the patch, with the exception of Tazavesh. And we're also going to be able to fully unlock delves all the way up to level 11, if you can do them that is, albeit there isn't going to be any bountiful delves until the raid opens the week of the 12th, and that also means that carved crests will be relatively easy to obtain in that pre-season week. This has some very notable implications for gearing because Mythic Zero does drop champion level gear, and the non-bountiful delves do award vault progress, meaning that we'll very likely also have a way to unlock up to 3 hero track slots from our first vault of the season. With Season 2 gear topping out at item level 684, this does mean that even maxed out mains could potentially get some gear upgrades in that pre-season week. Crests, of course, will be subject to the weekly cap of 90, but that still gives us 6 upgrades. That means doing a Mythic Zero dungeon tour will very likely be quite popular. For those of you who like to min-max, I suspect that you'll want to combine that with running enough level 7 or higher delves to fully unlock that row in the vault. I'd personally suggest prioritising unlocking and completing delves all the way up to level 10 if you can. Doing this will leave you ready to go straight into level 11 delves the following week, along with having 2 hero choices in your vault. And if you have any time remaining after doing that, then the next thing to do is to clear as many Mythic Zero dungeons as you can. With hero track gear starting out at item level 694, 2 slots in your vault will pretty much guarantee you an upgrade, even if it is not best in slot. So for me, it is questionable if it's really worth unlocking the final delve slot as well. But of course, if you really do want to min-max, that will be the way to go. As well as the usual gear rewards, completing the main patch 11.2.0 campaign is going to award you an upgradable artifact cloak. This will start out at item level 694 or hero upgrade level 1, and you'll eventually be able to upgrade it in steps all the way up to level 730, 2 steps above the maximum myth 6 out of 6. You also get your first upgrade for the cloak during the 11.2 campaign, which will take you to item level 701, with subsequent upgrades requiring 3 ethereal strands, which can drop from delves, raid, mythic plus, PvP and dungeons. And our expectation is that these will be time gated to a maximum of 3 per week. Or in other words, you can expect to get 1 cloak upgrade every week for a few weeks. The new cloak also has a role specific special bonus. DPS get Ethereal Reaping, which procs AoE damage twice per minute. Healers, Ethereal Reconstitution, which offers a healing proc or absorb shield for an ally twice every minute. And tanks get Ethereal Protection, which procs a 20% absorb shield. Yes, you've guessed it, twice a minute. But tanks are also going to be getting a much larger absorb shield, which procs at 40% health on a 6-minute cooldown, essentially acting as a kind of cheat death effect. By default, the cloak only comes with primary stats, armor and stamina, but it also has a special fiber socket which can be used to customize your secondary stats. The fibers that go into that socket are purchased from a vendor, Hashim, for 100 gold and are swappable, and you'll also be getting a free one during the campaign. These are also upgradable, and trailers will eventually be able to craft the more powerful versions of the fibers. These are soulbound, so you will need to use work orders if you're not a tailor. The recipes for the fibers require Renown 5 with the new Renown track, the Koreshi Trust, so my personal suspicion is that this will not be obtainable in week 1 of the patch. And finally, the upgrade system for the cloak also includes a mini talent tree that offers a bunch of buffs mainly aimed at the new open world phase diving feature. I'm releasing a full guide of the new patch features in a couple of days, so I won't be digging into that tree anymore here. There's also a set of special new boots, which drop from the Soul Hunters, an optional boss in the raid Manaforge Omega. which can increase the proc rate of the special effect of your cloak. And finally, there's a ring from Dimensius, which will give your cloak a raid-specific damage reduction. And while it's not connected to the cloak, casters can also get a special trinket, the Diamantine Void Core from the raid boss Frictilius, which has a set bonus which combines with caster-specific weapons from other bosses in the raid to offer a damage buff or absorb shield for your allies. We don't currently know the precise unlock schedule for crafting sparks or catalyst charges, but we do know that we will be getting the usual half sparks per week, meaning one full spark every 2 weeks. The big question is if these will start dropping in week 1 of the patch or the week the raid opens. My own personal guess is that for crafting sparks we will likely get a half spark in week 1, meaning that our first full spark will in theory be available for the opening of the raid. And for the first catalyst charge, I also think that that will be dropping the same week the raid opens. Now, of course, the real endgame rewards are cosmetics and especially mounts. And as always for a late expansion patch, there's going to be plenty of them. Starting with the raid and Dimensius, the final boss will be dropping an armoured cosmic dragon, the Unbound Star Eater, on mythic difficulty only. Most likely there will be 2 guaranteed drops per kill. There's also going to be a new Ahead of the Curve mount, which is an armoured version of the BFA's Ahead of the Curve mount, the Royal Voidwing. We're also going to be seeing the return of the Raid Renown track, which will be awarding 2 mounts, the Vandal's Gear Glider and the Bone Freezer, and for achievement hunters, the Glory achievement mount is a rather cool Umbral Karot. For Mythic Plus, both the Keystone Master and Keystone Legends achievements will again be awarding mounts. Keystone Master has the Azure Void Flare and the Keystone Legend is the Scarlet Void Flare. And for PvP, the Vicious mount is the Vicious Void Creeper, which comes in different Horde and Alliance colorations, and the Gladiator mount is the Astro Gladiator's Fellbat. Delvers of course are not being left out, getting a brand new upgradable mount, the Delver's Mana Skimmer. On the open world front, and there's 2 new Devourer mounts. The Translocated Gorger, which can be collected from new Devourer-themed world events, and Sitharb's Last Lunch, which drops from the rare Thisarbs. And another rare drop we're going to be getting is the Pearlescent Crawlusk. The open world, of course, is going to include a new Renown track, which will be awarding us with 3 new mounts, Blue Barry, the Ruby Void Creeper, and Terror of the Waste. And the new Phase Diving feature is going to be awarding us 2 mounts, the Lavender Karok and the Acidic Void Creeper. And the final open world mount is Terror of the Night, which comes from completing all of the warrants. Warrants are weekly quests which are related loosely to phase diving, and that'll probably take about 6 weeks to do. Patch 11.20 is also going to offer an update for Brewfest, which will include a brand new mount from the Corinth Dire Brew mini dungeon, this rather cool looking Brewfest Barrel Bomber. Now, there are a bunch of other mounts which have been data mined, and I have a suspicion that some of these will turn out to be undiscovered rewards. There is hints of a possible secret reputation, similar to the Dark Fuse and Undermine, and the 11.20 Mount Journal has this Zai Trustees Gear Glider, which has a source of redacted. Yes, that's really what it says in the journal, and it does suggest that the WoW team is cooking up another secret event. There are also a selection of Elic mounts which are currently flagged for the trading post, as are a set of recolors for the Headless Horseman's mount and some very high-res Griffin recolors. Moving away from mounts, and we're also getting another campfire themed after Tazavesh, which comes from completing the campaign. And for fans of cosmetic Hearthstones, there's a brand new Cosmic Hearthstone from Dimensius, the final boss of the raid, and a cool mailroom themed Hearthstone as well. This latter comes from a little mini-game set in the mailroom of Tazavesh. All you need to do is to interact with a treasure item just outside of the entrance to the mailroom, head in and then use your new extra action button to chuck the mail into the right chutes, and you'll eventually get your Hearthstone. As is the norm for the final main raid tier of a season, and we're also going to be getting our infinite Augment Rune, which is yet again a rather expensive 100,000 gold, and that will be awarded from hitting Renown 18 with the Koreshi Trust Renown. And if, like me, you found yourself wishing that runes could work like the new Hearty Feast and survive through wipe, the Raid Renown track will, at Renown 9, be offering the ability to get a new Soul Gorge Augment Rune, which lasts through death. You can get 3 to 6 of these every week, but they are bind on pickup, so you won't be making a ton of gold out of them. Now, speaking of traditional rewards, and there is something that is very conspicuous by its absence, and that's Heirlooms. Normally by now we would expect to see the ability to upgrade our Heirlooms all the way to the maximum of 80. In recent expansions, these upgrades have been coming earlier and earlier in Dragonflight that landed in patch 10.10, but we're now at 11.20 and it's still nowhere to be seen. The latest we ever saw these upgrades arrive was in Legion when it came in 7.25, but that was only around the halfway mark of Legion. 11.20 in contrast is very likely to be the last major patch of the War Within, and it does make me wonder if Blizzard are quietly phasing Heirlooms out. Back at the start of the War Within, when Blizzard did the pass and leveling gear, they significantly boosted the item level of quests and open world drops, allowing Heirlooms item levels to lag behind. That did not mean that Heirlooms were not still useful as a gap filler, but it did hint that Blizzard were maybe trying to make them much less attractive to us players. Heirlooms have, I think, been a lot less popular since they had the XP buffs removed back at the start of Shadowlands, but I personally did find the new set bonus to be fairly useful in classes with low self-sustain, and they were always super handy for filling those annoying gaps in gearing. So if Blizzard are phasing them out, I'm kinda sad about that. And that's it for my patch 11.20 reward roundup. As I mentioned earlier, I will be taking a look at the new features of the patch early next week. And I'll also be doing a much more in-depth mounts guide once we've fully bottomed out the sources of all of those mounts. Most likely that will be just after the new patch drops, so do subscribe so you don't miss out on either of those. And that's it for my rewards update, so it's time to hand over to all of you. What rewards are you most excited about in 11.20? Are you pushing for the Mythic Raid mount, or is it just gear all the way? Let me know in the comments down below. If you found this update helpful, entertaining, or even just plain annoying, then do let me know by hitting that like icon. And if you want to support my channel to grow and help me to make more of these videos along with my other content, then do hit that subscribe button right now before you forget. And if you don't want to miss out whenever I release a new video, then as well as subscribing, you can follow me on social media. My link's in the description below as well. That's all for now. Thanks for watching.